some questions, and this goes specifically to the investigation into the bombings and whether or not we considered those to be terrorism at the time, and where I stand now on the issue and comments that I've made to that point. I guess I'll start off with when we were in the middle of this investigation, and we really were trying to track down the person who was terrorizing our community, injury across our community, identifying the suspect and putting a stop to the violence. And that my focus along with federal partners. We did have discussions at that time, because at the time we were on the investigation, what looked like if we apprehended the offender or if we were live and ended up or very specific definitions for terrorism law. We were addressing that at that time during the investigation, because again we were focused on putting a stop to the violence and to the death and to the serious injuries that were occurring. I've had time now, a little over a week, really to reflect on the impact that this has across our community, and hearing feedback and hearing stories and really understanding what happened and the level of terror that was created across our community, which we identified throughout that he was causing terror, and now believing, saying that he's a domestic terrorist based on what he did to our community. As a member of our community, understanding what this is different from where I felt during the investigation. Again, investigation, I was very focused on putting my message on this. I actually am and classifying this now, in my opinion, that this was domestic terrorism.
You're getting a lot of criticism communities about the language used and the language used around Anthony. Would you speak to that? Because there's a disparity. One was the perpetrator, one was the.
I've spoken about it before. I comment about the suspect, and again, a suspect named publicly, but I will just refer to him as that he gave. I have classified a confession, outlines everything he did it, and I heard him describe things about life, his character, personality, and in a press conference that I held announcing the conclusion of the case, I used a word to describe him that I understand was very concerning to members of this community, and I did not use that word in an attempt to minimize what he had done or in an attempt to justify what he had done. I just was describing what I heard him state on the about how he felt about things. I understand that was a comment hurtful to parts of our community, and I have for that. And I have said publicly that that is a word that I would use differently now if given that opportunity again. But again, press conference hours after we concluded what had been a many day, hours long investigation, and we've addressed as far as the incident. My team come out several days later on the scene. I classified it as a homicide, and we were investigating it as a homicide. And I had a member of the team that came out and said that it was now investigated as that he in fact was a bomb maker, and that was absolutely wrong. There was no excuse. And I had a meeting with my next day, and the question that I asked them is really just tell an 8-year-old girl over the news that father is not only a bomb maker, blew himself up, because I have a problem. So again, we were dealing with a very intense investigation. We were trying to do our best, which we did with our federal officers. There were a few mistakes. There were things that were that we will be a department. There was no intent behind that.
Why today? Why did it take so long since Palmer's death for you to come to this conclusion, and why announce this today?
Well, again, I think I've had the benefit of a week now to sit back and to get beyond the investigation, although it continues, and beyond whether we end up in a courtroom and we need legal definitions of terrorism. And I'm really responding to the community who has been very vocal on this and who expressed concerns, and I accept. Based on that, I believe this was domestic. I have had time away from the intense pressure and the focus on putting a stop to the violence, and now I've been able to focus on the community and how it impacted them. That's why I'm making this change.
Any definitions of terrorism, a ideological reason, having heard is in this case?
No, if we look specifically to the ideology, it's not exist right now, but there are definitions, and particularly the Patriot Act about domestic terrorism that include just the impact it has on the populace. And so that's why I don't want to get logged down in just the four and a description. I've heard from my community, understood how this is impacted, and that's.
You say that this is your opinion. Does this label have any legal standing, and does it affect the avenues APD might take the investigation forward?
No, this does not really change anything. Investigation not have changed any investigations place had we stated this one on March 2nd. Every federal asset we brought in the We actually turned the process of the scene, the very first scene, over to ATF. They collected all of the evidence and they took it to Quantico for analysis. We did not try as a local case from day one. We recognized it was something big, even if it was an isolated incident. We initially recognized still incident, and we federal partners. This did it will not change ongoing investigation. I think it will do it allow us as a to come together, not only work on healing, but also how do we address quite a discussion the country in many. What is terrorism? Is terrorism? What's domestic terrorism? And I think that in place.
You're really the first to come out and use this word to describe him. I'd like to see others using that term as well.
I'm the official that speaks against the law enforcement opinions for our community. So this commenting about how this impacted my community, our community. Whether others come out and do and say the same is up to them. Again, work under a much different set of definitions, and there are different requirements for prosecution. But what I thought was important is, as here in Austin, as our community.
Last question.
About the tapes, and we took from the mayor the video last on 35. Something that you plan on releasing to the public, whether it's a recording aspect or of that final blast.
I am concerned about saying that 28-minute, the same reason that you don't want to give notoriety and publicity to somebody who does this, because it may others or his word and his voice on the internet forever. And so I think we're definitely going to consider if we got to that point. So, thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.